What's up guys, I'm randomfrankp, and today's a day that a lot of you may have been waiting for because Glorious just dropped the brand new Model i2 wireless. When the wired Model I came out, everyone was like, thanks but no thanks, I want a wireless version, so now we finally have that. It's been a bit over a year since last April's release of the wired Model I, and a bit odd to call this the Model i2 wireless instead of just the Model I wireless, because there technically isn't even a first Model I wireless. The nomenclature doesn't add up, but that's not what's important. What you all care about is the mouse itself, what are the key features, how light is it, all that good stuff. So checking it out, the i2 features practically that same right-handed Ergo shape with some slight design differences, mainly in the redesigned left and right click paddles, with them being their own dedicated piece of the shell for more consistent clicks, and the thumb rest flares out more towards the center of the mouse versus towards the back like on the original Model I. Very minor differences at first, especially visually, but these changes are definitely preferred once you hold the mouse in your hand. You can feel those improvements and it's for the better. But like I said, pretty identical in terms of actual dimensions. A millimeter or two difference here or there just because of the way it's contoured, but that won't be too noticeable and you won't have to change up your grip or anything. Now, one of the big features to an Ergo mouse like this, especially the ones that are designed in this aggressive gaming Ergo-like style, like the Basilisk out there and the G502, which we'll compare this to in just a minute, are the additional thumb buttons and functions on the left side of the mouse, with 3 buttons on the top of the left side and a dedicated sniper button as it's more commonly referred to. However, one really cool feature that we saw in the Model I was the fact that these are actually swappable. 2 of them are, with the sniper button and the top rightmost button being able to be changed out for different styled buttons to best fit your grip. Inside the box, they now give you 5 extra buttons and a removal tool, which is definitely appreciated because on the original Model I, they didn't include a tool for you and it was a bitch to swap them out. So happy to see those improvements, even though the removal tool is just a SIM card ejector. They snap into place with magnets and these plastic prongs so it won't budge or fall out during normal use. Even if you accidentally drop the mouse, they're not going to fall out unless you physically remove them with the tool. So now in total, you have 7 swappable buttons to configure this with. Some are larger and easier to press. Some of the pieces are flush with the shell, sort of like a button delete if you want to take it away. Some are taller, more flared towards you. But with this, it's pretty much like set it and forget it. Once you have your preferred layout for those buttons, you're probably not going to need to swap them out anymore. But okay, back to the rest of the mouse. The shell still has holes, unfortunately, to cut down on the weight. This time with a series of circular holes instead of the old honeycomb shell. And speaking of which, this tips my scale right at 74 grams, give or take a gram due to scale differences, which still makes this the lightest of the gaming Ergos out there like this. A quick visual comparison to the others in the same genre, like I mentioned before, with the Logitech G502X Plus and the Razer Basilisk V3 Pro, 2 of the most popular options with this shape. This is easily the lightest of the 3 by a lot. 30 grams lighter than the Logitech and nearly 40 grams lighter than the Basilisk. Now, that's impressive, and honestly, that right there could be a major deciding factor to a lot of you out there who want a lightweight variant of an Ergo mouse like this with the shape and size, especially when you factor in the price here of just $99 for the Model i2 wireless versus both the G502 and the Basilisk, which each launched for $160. But taking it a step further to show you the whole picture between the 3, yeah, the price and weight is a major factor, sure, but I would say that the Logitech and the Razer options do offer more overall. They have more total buttons, even though the Model i2 has 7 swappable buttons versus the 2 swappable for both the G502X Plus and the Basilisk, but they also have features like wireless charging, which the Model i2 does not, and both those also have more advanced scroll wheels, while the Model i2 has a basic scroll wheel. So it's lighter and more affordable, sure, but less feature-packed overall. So between those 3, you'll obviously have to weigh what's most important to you and what you're looking for, factoring in the weight, the price, the features, all that stuff. Still taking a look at the mouse, we have RGB lighting returning yet again with light strips on each side running down with some internal glow as a result as well. You have 2 DPI buttons on the top below the scroll wheel. Flipping it over, you have 100% PTFE feet for a nice smooth glide, a DPI LED to show you what DPI you're actually on, which you can color coordinate inside the software, and the on and off switcher also doubles as their dual connectivity mode with the 2.4 GHz dongle, and the Bluetooth mode if you want to use this over Bluetooth as well. Now real quick, we'll do a sound test for you guys of the switches as well as like a durability test. The switches are rated at 80 million clicks, and they're the same glory switches that they used in the Model O2 wireless as well. So all in all, it feels really good, nice and crisp, clicky switches. Again, the same switches that we had on the Model O2 wireless. No paddle shifting at all the buttons felt really good, and absolutely no creaking. For all the shit that Glorious has gotten over the years for, you know, the quality of their mice, you could say, this shell is pretty damn solid. Alrighty, but let's talk about my gameplay experience, how to do, how to perform, all that good stuff. So pretty obvious to point out, but a mouse with all these extra side buttons is definitely beneficial. What I like to do is remap those for things like crouching, going prone, reloading, and like throwing a grenade, for example. That way I could still keep my main fingers on WASD and not have to deviate from those at all, because now the buttons I would usually be taking my fingers off WASD to press are now on just the mouse itself with my thumb pressing those buttons. Out of habit, I'm still constantly respamming reload in game, but one of the benefits again of having extra buttons is so you can do just that. Remap those to be other functions and stuff that you won't ordinarily have access to on a regular mouse. Like I said before, with the sniper button, it's called, people can use that to downshift their DPI if you want to go real low for like a sniping scenario. Just another example for you. But I personally had no issues. I game with this at 650 DPI with 0 milliseconds debounce time in their Glorious Core software. And it's really the same specs, the same internals as the Model O2 wireless, like I said before, with their BAMF 2.0 optical sensor. Goes all the way up to 26,000 DPI, as low as 100 DPI. But again, I had no issues. Some people did report latency issues of the mouse dropping out back on the Model O2 wireless. Again, my unit was not affected with that. I didn't notice any significant delay, and that rings true with my time with this mouse. You know, anything below like 15 milliseconds really in terms of click latency, you're not gonna be able to notice or pick up on. And I believe from previous testing, this mouse was like either 13 or 14 milliseconds. So really, you're not gonna notice that. It felt just fine. If something was seriously up and I noticed a significant delay, I would obviously tell you guys and not recommend this because that would be a deal breaker. Now this mouse is only limited to 1000 Hertz polling, which is kind of a bummer because we have a lot of 2000 Hertz polling out there, even 4 and 8000 Hertz polling mice. So yeah, kind of a bummer for a 2023 modern mouse to not have that higher capability. But as longtime fans of the channel will know, I mained the G502 for years, so going back to this Ergo shape just still felt so natural to me, which is why, you know, I always preferred a mouse like this, even though over the past 2 years, we haven't had mice like this at a lower lightweight offering. So it's really cool to see Glorious give us this now at that lower weight, given the market and the, you know, competitors out there at just 75 grams, when everything else is over 100 grams and up. Now I'll leave you with this, and it's kind of the same thing that you could say for every purchase decision, but you're gonna have to weigh what's most important to you. Like I said before, out of the 3 mice out there that are the main ones with the G502X Plus and the Basilisk V3 Pro, this is definitely the less feature-packed mouse. Those definitely have a bit of a premium feel to them overall, but they're also heavier and a lot more expensive. This, the lightest of the 3, and also the most affordable at $100, which is definitely a really good price for a mouse like this. My only issue that I had during testing was something I can chalk up to as most likely just a bit of a hiccup with the software, given this is like an early mouse before it's even out yet and the software probably doesn't play too well with it. When it would die and I have to recharge it, when I would first plug the mouse back in, it would still show in the software that the battery is pretty much drained until I would shut the mouse off, close out the software, turn the mouse back on, open up the software, and then the battery would refresh. I drained it twice so far. When I first got it in, it was at around 60% left, so I drained that all the way through, recharged it back up, noticed it then, and then I drained it fully down one more time over the past 2-3 weeks that I've had this in, and it repeated that same thing. So like I said, it could just be an early sort of bug with this mouse and the software just playing so early since this isn't even fully released yet. I assume that'll be patched. It could just be a minor thing. Not a huge issue at all. I could not even have mentioned it, but hopefully that does get fixed in the future because that was kind of annoying. I was like, oh shit, my mouse isn't charging, but then I had to just like sort of resync everything. But yeah, a really good mouse, a really good price. You're gonna have to decide what's most important to you with this gamer aggressive Ergo shape out there. And guys, that'll wrap it up for my review of the brand new Model i2 wireless. Bit of a weird name, I know, but at least we have it finally a wireless version to the wired one that no one really cared about a year ago. So happy to see they listened and gave us a wireless version in a relatively timely manner. If you like this review, give it a big thumbs up to show your support. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at randomfrankp. And lastly, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Hope you all enjoyed. Have a good day.